Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Cannabis Review. I'm delighted to be joined in this episode by Kristina Dahmann, who's a partner at Ice Miller, a leading law firm based in Ohio. How are you keeping today, Kristina?
I'm doing very, very well. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me.
Delighted to have you on. Ohio is a hot topic in the global world of cannabis at the moment, so I thought what better than to get the top law firm on to give us their perspective on one or two different issues. Do you maybe want to give everybody a quick overview in 60 seconds of your position at your firm and how you guys end up touching against the cannabis legislation?
Certainly. Thanks so much. I'm a partner in our litigation group, but I have a crossover practice that works very, very closely with our regulatory attorneys. And our firm first got involved with cannabis law writ large here in Columbus, Ohio, when Ohio legalized medical cannabis. We worked with a number of early operators to apply for those licenses and secure those licenses either through the regulatory process or through eventual litigation, which is where I played a prominent role with respect to it. And then it's been off to the races ever since.
Okay, incredible. So we're based over here in Ireland, and as I'm sure you've seen over in your state, the social media activity around Ohio and what happened over there seems to be the message is definitely not the same across all platforms. Can you maybe give everybody an overview of what happened in Ohio? What's the reason to celebrate, and what does it mean for the future?
Absolutely. So as I'm sure everyone is aware, this is probably an easy fact to confirm that Ohio has legalized medical cannabis sales. And it's only accessible to patients that receive recommendations from doctors for the use of medical cannabis pursuant to a qualifying condition. That's been the case for several years, and it's become a mature market, and there's a series of dispensaries that are coming online as we speak over the next few months there. Most recently, the legislature combined the several oversight agencies to have the oversight agency be under the Ohio Department of Commerce. So now all of Ohio is regulated through one regulator, which sets us up well for our current stage. So as everyone that is listening here, I'm sure has heard, Ohio has legalized adult use. But what does that actually mean, right? And so as of last Tuesday, after the election on what was called Issue 2, Ohio passed what was an initiated statute. An initiated statute is a unique feature here in Ohio that allows for citizens to put together an entire chapter of what is the Ohio Revised Code. And so it is a literal chapter of the Ohio Revised Code that sets out all the legal parameters concerning adult use. So it's extremely detailed. It includes the licensing process. It includes certain prohibitions concerning the program. It includes certain protections concerning the program, as well as safe harbors for financial institutions and employers to make certain decisions. So why I kind of got into that detail right away is because this was not a writ large, we've legalized cannabis and anyone can sell, anyone can buy, anyone can consume today. It is part of a regulated structure. And as it stands today, it actually isn't even effective. Under the Ohio Constitution, an initiated statute becomes effective in 30 days. So as it stands today, it is still technically not legal to possess and use cannabis in Ohio. The effective date of the statute is December 7. And so it's at that point when consumption and use becomes legalized, but you yet will be able to purchase any adult use cannabis. So happy to talk about that, but wanted to just give you that quick overview as to the exact snapshot on where we are right now.
Very much appreciated. Always like getting to the facts of any issue and not listening to just people who have a vested interest. Can you maybe tell me, when it comes to the 7th of December, is there an application process that's going to start from the 7th of December for the cultivation, logistics, and the various different ancillary businesses that are going to serve this sector to apply for licenses that would cover them under this?
Absolutely. So as it stands under the current structure, the new Division of Cannabis Control, which is created by this statute that is under the Department of Commerce, will have to create what are the regulations that govern the statutory provisions that are in the initiated statute. So first step, in fact, before even a license process can commence, is the regulations have to be published. They have to go through the notice and comment period and then be adopted before they can proceed with the applications. There are set parameters within the statute that requires the Division of Cannabis Control to prepare those in short order and to, in short order thereafter, begin accepting applications. And then as it relates to those applications, because this is, I think, is a key component, the way that the current statute is structured is that it contemplates that all of the current medical operators that are licensed will have the right to secure an adult use license for the like operation. So Ohio has 4 major types of licenses: the cultivation license, the processing license, the lab license, and the dispensary license. And so as it stands under the current statute, each of those license holders will have the right to secure, in addition to their medical cannabis license, an adult use cannabis license. And so right then the cultivators can sell to the processors, and the processors can sell to the dispensaries in the adult use market. And then there is also a component that contemplates an additional round of licenses that's specifically geared towards social equity candidates. And that program will be run initially through what's a certification process under what is the Ohio Department of Development, which oversees all of business certifications along those same lines, like a minority business enterprise, for example, or a women business enterprise. And once that certification process is created and businesses are certified, then the application process can commence as to those applicants as well. And then one final piece on this is every 2 years under the medical program, the regulatory body is told to review and assess whether there needs to be additional licenses. That same concept is employed here in the adult use program. So every 2 years, the program is intended to analyze whether the market is market needs are being met, or if the market needs are not being met. And if it's the latter, then and this has actually occurred in the medical cannabis program, they'll open up the licenses for additional applications and additional entry into the market. So with the medical program, for example, I mentioned just a few minutes ago that there are dispensaries that are turning online. Those are from that 2-year review, determining that the patient population could support additional dispensaries throughout the state of Ohio.
Okay, incredibly detailed. Thank you very much for that. The next topic I wanted to move on to was what can we expect in the United States' newest adult use market? Is the ability to sell beverages and food products within the realm of the legislation that they proposed, or do you see which side of the industry you see being the dominant player in the future part of the Ohio sector?
Certainly. So Ohio is a control state. It is a control state as it relates to the medical cannabis program. It will be similarly controlled as it relates to the adult use program. So as it stands and as it's contemplated today, the program does not have, for example, a feature like a consumption lounge like we've seen in other states. It is limited to sale at dispensaries. There are provisos within the statute that allow landowners to prohibit consumption within their premises, as well as it relates to the residential landowners to prohibit what is the home grow component of the program, which is a feature that we haven't yet chatted about because we're focused on the licensing. But home grow is just exactly as it sounds. It allows for grow of cannabis plants in any individual's home. Across the board with the program, you have to be 21 and older, including with the home grow component of the program. And you are permitted to have each adult within a household to grow up to 6 plants. And each household can have up to 12 plants. And this isn't just your, home garden where you're planting your cannabis plants. It has to be in a secured area, whether inside or outside of the home. And it has to be secure such that it cannot be accessible to children or anyone who is not of the age of 21.
Okay. Are there brands that already exist in Ohio when it comes to, let's say, the HHC and the Delta 8 side of the industry that are going to be able to translate into this adult use market? Or do you see the big brands from other larger states coming in and influencing the market?
It's a great question because Ohio, right, it has a separate hemp program. And so I'll kind of set that aside. A great topic for a separate webinar to go through writ large United States on that, but also in Ohio. The way that this statute is written is it's an attempt to be comprehensive regarding the sale of any product that may contain THC, whether it be Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, any of the variations thereof, as well as the cannabinoid profile of the plant. So the intent is that any sale would be through one of these licensed dispensaries. And within the state of Ohio right now, we have a number of kind of marquee companies that are, that are very successful, some of which are Ohio kind of homegrown, some of which are in partnerships with companies that are successful in other states. And then some of them are other companies in other states that have come into the Ohio market to participate here. So it really is the gambit at the end of the day, which is exciting, right? And because it's a control state, there's in fact a cap on the number of licenses. So it's a cap on the number of licenses you can hold within kind of those 4 categories I was talking about. Obviously, labs need to be independent, right? They cannot also be affiliated with a company. And Ohio has one of the best testing programs in the nation. It's gotten extremely positive reviews across the board, which is very exciting and something that I personally am very proud of with respect to the program. And then as it relates to the cultivators, you can only own 1 as a company, same with processors. And then as it relates to the dispensaries, currently you can only own up to 5. With the adult use proposal, you can have up to 8, which makes sense because the market's growing and there'll be a bigger demand when you factor in the adult use market in addition to the medical market.
We recently had a citizen assembly here in Ireland where we missed out on legal adult use market by 1 vote. If there was a piece of advice that you could give to territories that are looking to open up this market from the activism side of the thing all the way up to the legal side of the thing, what is the one lesson that you think could be learned from the Ohio process that everybody else could take away?
That is an excellent question. I'm really glad that you asked it. Putting together the statute was not a simple task, and it was not done by one person. It was done by listening to interest groups, to operators, to regulators, to Ohioans, to understand what makes sense for what is Ohio today. And so my piece of advice would be to understand you can't have everything. And that's where the initiated statute was very beautiful, because you could integrate lots of different components that at the end of the day, it did not integrate every single component that you've seen in every single market, right? And so there was a balancing act that went in order to address each of the voices and make sure that Ohioans, when they went to vote on Tuesday, felt confident that this was something that would be something that they would like to see in their state.
Yeah, it seems to be, regardless of the territory, it's the political persuasion of the voter that needs to be appealed to, and it has to be palatable for that voter, whether they swing whichever way, left or right.
Yeah, that's right in part, but we've seen really an interesting dynamic with the vote this last week, in that there's a lot of bipartisan support with respect to adult use cannabis in Ohio. And that actually was one of the instigating pieces to even go down this path, which, by the way, started over 2 years ago, as it related to this specific initiated statute, was that Ohioans just overwhelmingly supported it. And that would have had to have been something that crossed party lines because of the current affiliation structure or affiliated kind of dynamic we have here in Ohio.
It's been incredibly fascinating talking to you, Kristina. You're a wealth of information. Thank you very much for your time. Is there anything that you're looking forward to seeing over the next 12 months in the Ohio industry come to fruition?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing its continued growth. I think it's been a slow and steady growth, and these next 12 months are going to be critical to that. So really looking forward to it, and just keep in mind some of our key dates, are leading into next year and then toward the end of next year as the program rolls out.
Amazing. For anybody who's looking for a top law firm in Ohio, Ice Miller's website is going to be below and in all the descriptions you see. You can also check out more about Kristina and her special skill set. Thank you very much, Kristina, for joining us. It's been very much appreciated, and hopefully we get to touch base in about 9 months, 10 months time, when we can see that everything's been knocked out of the park by Ohio and they're leading the way.
Maybe I'll be reporting live from a dispensary. How's that?
That's great. You have a great weekend, and thank you very much for taking your time again.
You too. Bye-bye. Thanks so much.